Welcome to the Heber Valley Railroad, an unforgettable journey through the heart of Utah's Wasatch Mountains. Known for its stunning natural scenery, this railway has become a beloved destination for tourists and train enthusiasts alike. But beyond the breathtaking views, there's a rich history filled with surprising, lesser-known facts that make this railroad even more fascinating. Did you know that the Heber Valley Railroad, affectionately called the Heber Creeper, dates back to the late 19th century? Originally built in 1899, the railroad served as a critical transportation link for mining communities and farmers in Utah's remote regions. It wasn't always a scenic tourist train. This route was vital for the local economy, connecting Heber City with Provo for nearly 7 decades. One little-known fact is that the Heber Valley Railroad almost disappeared entirely. By the 1960s, the line was set to be abandoned due to declining use. But, thanks to passionate local supporters, this historic track was saved and transformed into the heritage railway we know today. Without this effort, the Heber Creeper would have been lost to history. Today, the railroad is one of Utah's top attractions, but it wasn't always a smooth ride to get there. Restoration efforts faced many financial challenges, and the railway had to close temporarily in the 1990s due to operational issues. It wasn't until a revival in 1992, under the Heber Valley Historic Railroad Authority, that the train was brought back to life for good. One of the most unique aspects of the Heber Valley Railroad is its historic collection of locomotives and cars. The star of the show? A vintage steam locomotive from 1907, which still runs today. This engine, known as number 618, has been lovingly restored and remains an integral part of the experience. It's rare to find such old, working steam engines still in service in the United States. As the train meanders through the picturesque Provo Canyon and along the shores of Deer Creek Reservoir, it's easy to get lost in the scenery. But here's a fact that even frequent riders may not know: the Heber Valley Railroad offers special event trains throughout the year. Whether it's the North Pole Express during the holiday season or the Wizard's train for Harry Potter fans, this railroad is more than just a summer excursion. The Heber Valley Railroad has been a witness to Utah's evolving history. In its early days, it wasn't just passengers riding these tracks. Lumber, livestock, and even military supplies were hauled during wartime. This train tells the story of how essential railroads were to the survival and growth of rural communities. The train covers a 16-mile stretch, but did you know that the original line was much longer? In its early years, it extended all the way to Park City, and plans were even made to connect to other major rail networks, though they never came to fruition. The Heber Creeper nickname's origin. The nickname, Heber Creeper, didn't just come from the train's slow pace. It originally referred to the train's rugged, winding journey through the mountainous terrain. Early passengers would sometimes joke that they could walk faster than the train in certain sections of the route, especially when the locomotive had to tackle steep inclines. A train for movie stars. Though the Heber Valley Railroad is famous for being in films, few people know how extensive its Hollywood career has been. This train has appeared in movies like A River Runs Through It, 1992, and Outlaw Trail, 2006, as well as TV shows such as Touched by an Angel. The railroad's vintage look allows it to double as railways from various periods, often without major alterations. The Ghost Town connection. One of the lesser-known stories surrounding the Heber Valley Railroad is its historical connection to ghost towns. The line once connected Heber to several mining towns that are now abandoned or sparsely populated, like Keatley and Charleston. As mining dwindled, these communities faded, but the train remains as a symbol of their once thriving past. Military history. During World War II. During World War II, the Heber Valley Railroad played a surprising role in the war effort. The line was used to transport military personnel and equipment, and even served as a training ground for railway engineers who later worked in Europe and Asia. The tracks provided a crucial supply link for the war's domestic efforts, moving materials essential for manufacturing. Unusual cargo. Sundance Film Festival's iconic Redford. In its heyday, the Heber Valley Railroad wasn't just moving farm goods or mining materials. It once transported a more unusual kind of cargo. Robert Redford, founder of the Sundance Film Festival, frequently rode the train in the 1970s while scouting locations for his Sundance resort. It's said that Redford fell in love with the Heber Valley after taking the train, a ride that ultimately influenced his decision to establish the film festival nearby. The train's surprising winter popularity. While most tourist railways are seasonal, the Heber Valley Railroad thrives during the winter months. The snow-covered scenery makes it a popular attraction, but what really draws crowds is the North Pole Express, a Christmas-themed ride that has become a cherished tradition in Utah. Riders get to meet Santa, sip hot chocolate, and enjoy holiday music, all while riding through snow-covered mountains. The Lone Survivor. Engine number 618. The star of the Heber Valley Railroad fleet, engine number 618, has an incredible backstory. Built in 1907 by the Baldwin Locomotive Works, it is one of the last steam engines from the original Denver and Rio Grande Western Railroad that is still operational. In 1952, it was retired and nearly scrapped, but thanks to preservation efforts, this 100-year-old engine continues to run, making it a rare survivor from a bygone era. The longest scenic train ride in Utah. Although the track is just 16 miles today, the Heber Valley Railroad offers the longest scenic train ride available in Utah. Its 3-hour round trip covers a variety of landscapes, including lakes, mountains, and meadows. Along the way, passengers can spot wildlife such as deer, eagles, and even moose in the surrounding forests. The route through ancient native lands. The tracks of the Heber Valley Railroad pass through areas that were once home to Native American tribes, including the Ute people. In fact, some of the current train route traverses lands that were historically part of the Ute tribe's territory. While the train focuses on the pioneer and mining history of Utah, the land itself has a much longer story, with traces of ancient cultures. The unique Rock Cutters Tunnel. One of the highlights of the Heber Valley Railroad journey is the passage through a historic rock-cut tunnel near the Deer Creek Reservoir. What's remarkable about this tunnel is that it was carved by hand, using explosives and pickaxes, by laborers in the early 1900s. The tunnel has withstood over a century of use and remains a testament to the labor-intensive railroad construction methods of the time. The first-class experience on the open-air cars. While most passengers ride in enclosed historic cars, the Heber Valley Railroad offers an exclusive experience in its open-air cars. These cars provide an unobstructed view of the Wasatch Mountain range and the Provo River, making it a favorite option for photographers and nature lovers. Despite being less well-known, this option is perfect for those looking to capture the landscape without any glass barriers. Heber's role in Utah's ski industry. While it's commonly known for its scenic rides, the Heber Valley Railroad also contributed to the early development of Utah's ski industry. During the 1940s and 1950s, the train played a crucial role in transporting skiers to the nearby Wasatch Mountains. This helped popularize the region as a winter sports destination long before Utah became globally recognized for hosting the 2002 Winter Olympics. Volunteer spirit. Although today the Heber Valley Railroad is run by a dedicated staff, a significant part of the railroad's operations still relies on volunteers. Many of the conductors, brakemen, and engineers who operate the train are volunteers who have a passion for preserving the heritage of steam railroading. Some of these volunteers even undergo extensive training to learn how to operate the steam engines and help maintain the vintage cars. A hidden rail museum tucked away in Heber City is a small, lesser-known museum dedicated to the Heber Valley Railroad. This hidden gem is not on the main tourist path, but it offers a glimpse into the railroad's rich history with memorabilia, photographs, and original documents. The museum is often overlooked by visitors, but it offers valuable insight into how the railway shaped the local community. A train of innovation. Though the Heber Valley Railroad embraces its historical roots, it's also been a site of innovation. The railroad was one of the first in the region to experiment with using biodiesel in its diesel-electric locomotives. This alternative fuel reduced the environmental impact of running the trains, particularly during non-scenic rides. Although it still operates primarily on traditional fuels, the railroad's experiments with biodiesel were groundbreaking for heritage railways. The wildlife migration overlap. Few people realize that the Heber Valley Railroad operates through an area that is home to seasonal wildlife migrations. Deer, elk, and even bears can occasionally be spotted near the tracks, particularly during spring and fall when animals move between feeding grounds. The train offers one of the best ways to view these animals in their natural habitats, often surprising passengers with wildlife sightings. The steam engine restoration story. The restoration of steam engine number 618 was a painstaking process that took years of effort. Parts of the engine had to be sourced from all over the country, and some components had to be custom-built to restore it to full working condition. Interestingly, the team working on the restoration included several retired railroad engineers who had worked with steam locomotives in their younger days. Their expertise was key to bringing the engine back to life. The rare caboose. One of the railroad's most unique pieces of rolling stock is an original caboose from the 1920s, which is still used on some special event rides. Cabooses like this one were traditionally used as living quarters for train crews, but they have largely disappeared from modern railroads. The Heber Valley Railroad's caboose remains a rare, functional piece of history, offering passengers a glimpse into how railroad workers lived during long journeys. Photographer's paradise. While the Heber Valley Railroad is often praised for its scenic routes, it's also a little-known haven for professional photographers. Several times a year, the railroad hosts special photo runs, where photographers can capture images of the train from predetermined scenic locations. These events attract railway photographers from across the country, many of whom consider the Heber Valley line to be one of the most photogenic in North America. The train whistle code tradition. On the Heber Valley Railroad, the train engineers still use a system of train whistle codes that date back to the early days of rail travel. These short whistle bursts communicate everything from departure times to warnings of obstacles on the track. For train enthusiasts, hearing the old-fashioned whistle codes in action is a rare treat that connects modern passengers to the railroad's past. It was originally a narrow-gauge railway. The Heber Valley Railroad was originally part of the Denver and Rio Grande Western Railroad and was a narrow-gauge line. Narrow-gauge railroads were common in mountainous regions like Utah because they were cheaper to build and could handle sharp curves better. The tracks were eventually widened to standard gauge, which is still used today, but the legacy of its narrow-gauge past lingers in the railway's design and history. The Provo Canyon derailments. The Heber Valley Railroad has seen a few accidents over its long history, including some derailments in the treacherous Provo Canyon. These accidents were often caused by rock slides or snowdrifts that blocked the tracks, which made the line particularly challenging to maintain during winter months. Fortunately, modern technology has reduced the risk, but the memory of these early struggles is part of the railroad's lore. A training ground for future engineers, the Heber Valley Railroad is not just a tourist attraction, it's also a training ground for aspiring railroad engineers and mechanics. Several technical schools and railroading programs in Utah and nearby states send students to the Heber Valley Railroad for hands-on experience with steam and diesel engines. It's one of the few places where young engineers can learn how to operate and maintain vintage trains, preserving the art of steam engine operation. The railroad that almost went underground in the 1930s, there was a brief proposal to build tunnels through the Wasatch Mountains to extend the Heber Valley Railroad underground. The idea was part of a larger plan to connect Heber City with Salt Lake City via a more direct route. However, the plan was deemed too expensive and technically difficult, so it was abandoned. If it had gone through, the Heber Valley Railroad would have become a much more significant link in Utah's transportation network, with passengers traveling through scenic mountain tunnels. The steampunk train experience. Heber Valley Railroad has embraced Utah's growing steampunk community by hosting occasional steampunk-themed rides. These events bring together fans of the science fiction genre that imagines an alternate history where steam power dominates technology. Passengers dress in Victorian-era clothing, complete with futuristic gadgets, and ride the steam-powered train through Utah's mountains. It's an unexpected twist that blends historical railroading with fantasy, making for a unique cultural experience. A connection to the Transcontinental Railroad. While not directly part of the original Transcontinental Railroad, the Heber Valley Railroad's parent company, the Denver and Rio Grande Western Railroad, played a role in linking smaller regional railroads to the larger national network. During its early years, the Heber Valley Line connected remote Utah communities with the bustling rail hubs of Salt Lake City and Ogden, which were key stops on the transcontinental route. This connection allowed goods and passengers to travel across the country, giving the Heber Valley Line a small but important role in the growth of America's rail system. The railroad's role in Utah's tourism boom before ski resorts and outdoor recreation became major industries in Utah. The Heber Valley Railroad was one of the region's first tourist attractions. Its scenic train rides through the Wasatch Mountains helped introduce visitors to the area's natural beauty, laying the groundwork for the state's booming tourism industry. In fact, some of Utah's most famous resorts, such as Deer Valley and Sundance, were initially developed in part because the railroad made the region more accessible to outsiders. The engine swap. Diesel versus steam. While the steam-powered locomotives are the stars of the show, the Heber Valley Railroad also operates diesel engines for many of its regular runs. The decision to alternate between steam and diesel is both practical and environmental. Diesel engines are more efficient for daily operations and require less maintenance than the historic steam locomotives, which are reserved for special events or during peak tourist seasons. The behind-the-scenes engine swap is an often overlooked aspect of the railroad's daily operations. The secret of the steam whistle. The Heber Valley Railroad's steam whistle has a unique sound that resonates through the valley, and there's more to it than meets the ear. The pitch and tone of the whistle are determined by the steam pressure inside the boiler and the design of the whistle itself. Each steam engine's whistle has its own distinct sound, so train enthusiasts can often identify which engine is running based solely on the whistle's signature tone. It's one of the subtler details that train lovers appreciate during their ride. The Heber Valley Railroad's role in restoration research. One of the lesser-known facts is that the Heber Valley Railroad has been part of several research projects on railway preservation and restoration. Experts from around the world have visited the site to study how steam engines are maintained and restored. Because the railroad operates both historic steam and diesel engines, it serves as a real-world laboratory for railway preservationists looking to keep the art of steam-powered locomotion alive. The Heber Valley Railroad isn't just a ride, It's a journey through history, nostalgia, and the raw beauty of Utah's landscapes. Whether you're a train enthusiast, history buff, or just looking for a scenic escape, this railway offers an experience like no other. And as you disembark, remember, you've just traveled on a piece of living history.